Even when the conflict saw completion of 100 days, more fighting has been witnessed despite protests favoring peace. We've already seen U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken touring the Middle East for the 4th time recently since the conflict began. The efforts are on to pursue the cause of peace and other humanitarian efforts. Trent Murray has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Certainly what the IDF is saying is that it's continuing its operations on the ground in Gaza at the direction of the government, trying to achieve the war goals set by Benjamin Netanyahu. Those war goals, let's just remember, are to crush Hamas and to demilitarize the Gaza Strip. Now, we have seen reports of heavy combat on the ground between the IDF and Hamas militants. We've also heard from the Hamas-run health ministry that 125 Palestinians have been killed in the past 24 hours. So I think there is certainly no indication right now from the Israeli side that this military operation will stop anytime soon. In fact, what we heard overnight from Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister, was that he has indicated to Cairo that the Israelis will soon begin a military operation to take control of the Rafah border crossing. Now, you need to remember that is the crossing that connects Gaza with Egypt. The Israelis say for their security, they now want to take control of that crucial border. We know that in Egypt, Hamas has been speaking via mediators there with an Israeli security delegation, which travelled there earlier this week. Both sides still appear quite far apart on any sort of agreement, but certainly for those families of the hostages, they're hoping those negotiations may yield some positive results. We also saw Qatar announce a deal that it struck to allow prescription medication to be given to the hostages via the Red Cross. We need to remember many of them being held by Hamas are quite old and elderly and have medical conditions, and the families here have been very worried about the fact they're not getting their medicine. So seemingly a glimmer of hope that that medicine has been delivered in the past 48 hours. But aside from those two diplomatic negotiations, we're not seeing any sort of positive sign from Hamas or Tel Aviv that they're on the verge of any sort of humanitarian pause in the immediate term.
Well, Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong is visiting the Middle East, using it to advocate for a pathway out of the conflict. Penny Wong added that Australia was right to be in the Red Sea to ensure international borders and international law were observed. The Foreign Minister will travel to Jordan, Israel, the occupied Palestinian territories and the United Arab Emirates.
We all know that pathway can only be found by the parties to the conflict. I will be focusing on advocating Australia's position, our priority on international humanitarian assistance, our priority on international humanitarian law. I will be engaging with many parties in the region.
U.S. fighter aircraft shot down an anti-ship cruise missile fired from Houthis' terrorist areas of Yemen towards a U.S. destroyer operating in the southern Red Sea. It follows a series of American and British airstrikes on Houthi targets in Yemen that have drawn threats of a strong response from the Iranian-backed Houthis. However, there has been no injuries or damage reported. The Red Sea crisis has added to anxieties over a wider conflict in the Middle East that goes beyond Gaza. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar is on a two-day visit to Iran commencing on the 14th of Jan. Discussions with Iranian counterpart include bilateral, regional and international issues. The meeting on 15th focuses on the Red Sea security situation gaining significance over the Israel-Hamas conflict and Houthi threats. India is closely monitoring the Red Sea events and operations there, also intensifying the maritime security operations. Jaishankar's recent phone call to the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken underscores global apprehensions about the Red Sea situation. Shifting focus to the Russia-Ukraine armed conflict, Kyiv has asked allies to speed up the supply of artillery ammunition as lack of shells has become a worry for Ukrainian soldiers fighting near Bakhmut. While drones are increasingly influential on the battlefield, artillery is a mainstay for both armies, and Ukraine is having to balance its use of various caliber shells based on the available supply. China needs to be involved in talks to end the war with Russia. Ukraine's President, Chief of Staff Andriy Yermak said after a meeting of Security Council advisors from around the world in Davos on the eve of a meeting of World Economic Forum. Yermak said nobody has asked him about any compromise over territories during Sunday's National Security Advisors meeting.
And today here, where is no the representative of China, we invited, we will continue to invite, for us important table, and we're looking that in the future China will be participated.
Well, China needs to be involved in efforts to end the war between Russia and Ukraine, Swiss Federal Councillor Ignacio Cassis said after a meeting of national security advisors from around the world in Davos on Sunday. China was not represented at the gathering of national security advisors ahead of the World Economic Forum in Davos. The meeting of more than 80 officials is the fourth such gathering organized by Ukraine, which rather paves the way to talks between Moscow and Kyiv on ending the war. Cassis further said that countries had a dialogue with Russia, such as Brazil, India and Saudi Arabia, were involved in the discussions in Davos and could play an important role. The role of the Global South in Ukraine's peace formula talks has also come into focus in Davos.
Sir, success can be measured in terms of the goals you are pursuing. If the goal you are pursuing is to create an international alliance that goes beyond Europe or beyond the West with Canada and the US, but that extends, for example, to the Global South, that aim has in part been reached with 83 nations. China is not included. It would have been an important participation, but we have Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia, representatives of the BRICS who are still in a dialogue with Russia.
Well, Britain is going to commit 20,000 military personnel to serve across Europe in a major NATO exercise in the first half of this year. Britain will also commit warships and fighter jets. Its defense ministry said the deployment includes an aircraft carrier strike group and F-35B Lightning attack jets and surveillance planes and some 16,000 British Army troops who will be based from Eastern Europe from February to June. NATO's exercise Steadfast Defender 24 marks the Western Alliance's 75th year. Last week, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced that Britain will increase the support for Ukraine in the next financial year to $3.19 billion, an increase of £200 million on the previous 2 years. After months of campaigning, the Republican candidates vying to unseat President Joe Biden in November are facing their first formal test from voters. And Monday marks the first time Republicans in any state go to get their say, ahead of which hopefuls are busy making their final pitch to the caucus goers in Iowa. Meanwhile, weather has proved to be a major obstacle for the caucus night. William Denslow gets you the latest on the developments in Iowa and the caucus that takes place there.
As you can probably see, it is freezing cold in Iowa. The temperature's down at over minus 20 degrees Celsius. However, that is not deterring people to come and listen to former President Donald Trump just behind me at Simpsons College, about an hour away from the state capitol in Des Moines. It's the final opportunity for the various Republican candidates to make their pitch to Iowans, for them to come out and caucus for them ahead of Monday's vote. The candidates for several days have been busy going all around the state to make that pitch to voters, why they should be their pick to be the Republican nominee to face off against Joe Biden in the presidential election later this year. The weather needs to be taken into serious consideration. bitterly cold. Some campaign events over recent days have been cancelled. But as we see here, there's still plenty of appetite for our Iowans to hear from the candidates who are making their final says. And the polls are very revealing as well. We've just had the release of a Des Moines Register NBC News poll that shows that Donald Trump here in the state has around a 48% lead compared to Nikki Haley, the former UN ambassador, who holds around 20% of the polling, with Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, down at around 16%. However, of course, those are polls. The challengers to Donald Trump very much hoping that will change. Throughout this race, Donald Trump has really been acting almost like an incumbent. He hasn't been participating in the Republican debates. He's been out on his own, holding his own events. So this vote is really the first chance that voters will have the opportunity to see his name alongside other candidates to make that decision on who exactly they want to see challenge the Democrats in the presidential election. The message here is that despite the frigid temperatures, Iowans are committed. They will turn out to the polls and canvass for their candidates on Monday. William Denslow in Iowa, reporting for DD India.
Well, Taiwan has hailed its close and staunch partnership with the United States. The president said this as she welcomed an unofficial delegation sent by U.S. President Joe Biden's administration to make a post-election visit. The delegation will meet senior politicians, including Tsai's Vice President Lai Ching-lei, who won Saturday's poll. Lee was meanwhile reiterated that his administration will continue to defend peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. Still to come on DD India News Hour. North Korea tests solid fuel hypersonic missile as the delegation led by the Foreign Ministry arrives in Moscow. South Korea, along with the US and Japan, run analysis. Amid avalanche, Colombia's President Pedro tours mudslide zone and announces an emergency. And Vietnamese artists revamp traditional culture with modern hits.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. North Korea tested a new solid fuel hypersonic missile with intermediate range, adding it did not pose a security threat to neighboring countries. It said that the launch was aimed at testing the reliability of the new multi-stage high-thrust solid fuel engines and an intermediate range hypersonic maneuverable controlled warhead. The test occurred the next day when a delegation led by the Foreign Minister Cho Seon-lu arrived in Russia. The missile launch and the visit to Russia comes amid growing tensions between the two Korean countries. Recently, They held a series of intercontinental ballistic missile launches and the first military spy satellite, as well as Pyongyang's deepening ties with Moscow, which is causing a lot of tensions to Washington and its allies. Well, DD India's correspondent Andrew Wood now joins us with more from Hong Kong. Andrew, good morning. Andrew, take us through this now, what the processes that follow. On one hand, this particular hypersonic missile test that's taken place, how do you see the fallout of it, coming pretty soon, either from the American end with regards to sanctions and also with regards to neighbors, Korea, taking steps to safeguard its borders?
Well, don't forget, this is an election year, both in America and also in South Korea as well. And the South Korean president at the moment is a bit of a hardliner towards North Korea. So I think that this is a warning to South Korea. It's a warning to everybody. In a way, it's right by saying that these missiles are not a threat to its immediate neighbors, namely South Korea, because this is an intermediate range missile. It's a hypersonic missile, so it flies much, much faster than many other types of missiles. And the faster it flies, the more difficult it is to detect. And if, for example, North Korea aimed this at an American carrier fleet somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean, it would be more difficult to get away from once it's been detected. By intermediate range here, I think that probably the United States forces in Guam, which is sort of roughly to the south of North Korea, about 3,000 kilometers away in the Pacific Ocean, that would probably be the type of target that North Korea would be aiming for with this new hypersonic missile.
Okay. Also, Andrew, what's the position that South Korea takes? Is it in a fully ready mode if anything untoward happens, considering the proximity that North Korea is, developed with Russia over time, and does that look threatening?
Well, South Korea is always, well, it's interesting. If you go to South Korea, if you go to Seoul, people can be quite blasé about the threat from North Korea because they've lived with it for so long. But I have to say that over the past 3 or 4 months, tensions do seem to have increased. North Korea and South Korea did have an agreement when they said that they would try not to have military exercises close to the borders, and they'd withdraw some of their troops from the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, or around it. But North Korea and South Korea have broken that agreement after North Korea fired so many missiles last year in defiance of United Nations bans. And America has also sent nuclear submarines over the past few months to visit South Korean ports and to remind North Korea probably that South Korea has a very, very big and powerful ally. And we've seen also another area of more preparedness. Since December, American, South Korean and Japanese militaries have been sharing information about North Korean missile launches. To be honest, I thought it was quite a surprise, given that South Korea and Japan are American allies and have been so for 50, 60, 70 years. But they have started working closer together to share information.
Okay, we'll leave it there. And thank you. Appreciate you joining us, Andrew Wood, this morning from getting us the latest on that North Korea story, where it is test-fired a solid fuel missile. Shifting focus, Japan's chief cabinet secretary has said that North Korea may carry out further provocations.
We believe that there is a possibility that North Korea may carry out further provocative actions in the future, including launching various missiles. Japan will continue to work closely with the United States and South Korea and do our utmost to collect and analyze information as well as monitor the situation.
Ecuador authorities have arrested 6 suspects, including a 17-year-old minor, after an explosive attack on Saturday against police facilities in Guangpil. These detentions come as Ecuador's police and military aim to restore order inside the country's dangerous prisons, where dozens of staff were held hostage by inmates amid an uptick in violence. Since the state of emergency began, the law enforcement agencies have arrested more than 1,000 suspected criminals so far. In Guatemala, after delay to the inauguration ceremony of President-elect Bernardo Arevalo, its Congress resumes and elected Samuel Perez as the President of Congress by a vote of 92 to 67, and Semilla party lawmakers took their seats as independents. Country's top court earlier on Sunday decided that Semilla party lawmakers would not take office affiliated with their party but as independents. Lack of clarification or explanation led to the protest. Supporters were left confused while they waited outside the Congress, pushed through barricades and threatened to storm Guatemala's Congress. Arevalo, at 65, won the August presidential runoff in a sweeping victory. He won the elections on promises to restore democracy and banish deep-rooted corruption in the most populous country in Central America. Authorities in Mexico found 726 migrants in a warehouse in the central Mexican state of Tlaxcala. Mexico's National Migration Institute, in a statement on Sunday, said that 75 were unaccompanied minors, along with among the migrants from Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Ecuador, and Nicaragua. 4 suspected human traffickers were arrested at the site during the operation. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro visited the site of a deadly mudslide on Sunday, which left at least 33 people dead and 20 others injured after heavy rain slashed northwest Colombia. Petro declared the Medellin-Quito road an emergency zone and announced a $128 million investments in the region.
La concentración de personas que hubo en la casa.
The concentration of people in the house has so far resulted in 33 victims, 10 unidentified. We have to work to find their families, who they were. There are 10 people who have not been found, which is why there is still operations. To all the families of the victims, I offer my sincere condolences.
Todavía hay actividades.
Japan government to release $690 million in emergency funds for earthquake aid and relief as Prime Minister Kishida visits the disaster zone. The earthquake death toll rose to 221, with more than 20 people missing in the central Japanese prefecture of Ishikawa on Sunday after a series of strong seismic tremors of up to 7.6 magnitude jolted the prefecture and its vicinity. Snow and rain continue in the quake-stricken area. That's Japan's government also plans to double budget reserves for earthquake relief in the next fiscal year. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said this on Sunday. Heavy snow blanketed roads, driveways and streets after a severe winter storm brought many cities in the United States to a near standstill. Dangerous freezing temperatures affected political campaigns, sports events and travels across Europe. An ongoing Arctic blast has led to power outages in the Northeast, the Pacific and Northwest. The National Weather Service has issued warnings, with over 95 million people under wind chill advisories and some states expecting to see or face wind chills to plummet to minus 59 degrees Celsius. Heavy rains in Brazil's state of Rio de Janeiro this weekend have killed at least 11 people. The capital city's streets and homes were flooded by heavy rains, which brought down trees and caused landslides. The metro line was disrupted. Rio's mayor, Eduardo Paes, announced a state of emergency, and President Luis de Silva's government's efforts offered federal support. A volcanic eruption there in the southwest Iceland early on Sunday, engulfing buildings in flames, fountains of molten rock and smoke spewing from the fissures in the ground across the wide-ranging stretching from close to the town of Greenwich. An early evacuation was carried out for the second time since November amid a swarm of seismic activities in the region. No lives were in danger. Authorities built barriers of earth and also rock in recent weeks to try and prevent lava from reaching Greenwich, some 40 kilometers southwest of the capital, Reykjavik, but the latest eruption have penetrated the town's defense.
We had this eruption started just before 8 o'clock this morning. It was on the area where we have been expecting it to come, but unfortunately it went a little bit more south than we had hoped for. So it went inside the barriers that we have already built, and then also about 3-4 hours later we had another opening just outside the town of Grindavik.
Let's take a look at some other stories making news around the world. More than 7 lakh migratory birds in 58 species have arrived in East China's Jiangxi province to enjoy the winter at the Poyang Lake, the largest wintering habitat for migratory birds in Asia. In recent years, the Poyang Lake has seen improving ecological environment and rising number of migratory birds after the implementation of fishing ban and migratory bird protection. A white penguin with leucism was spotted chilling in the icy climate of the Chilean Antarctica in early January. The penguin, normally distinguished by its black and white spots, was spotted in mostly white due to leucism, which is a genetic condition caused by a partial loss of pigmentation by the animal and the fur, while the eyes maintain normal color. Dance of the People was the headliner at the special New Year program titled Happy New Year, Multicolor 2024, produced by Vietnam Television. The performers featured a unique combination of traditional and contemporary elements. Dances of the People was actually the sophomore release of guitarist Duong Pham, who compiled 11 folk-inspired rock tracks in his album, Dance. The people of Denmark welcomed King Frederik X as their new king on Sunday. Frederik succeeded his mother, Queen Margaret II, who formally abdicated after 52 years as monarch. Large and admiring crowds gathered in the capital on Sunday to witness history in Copenhagen's Tivoli Gardens, which was lit up with fireworks in honor of King Frederik X. Still to come on this hour, DD India News Hour. India's Meteorological Department proudly celebrates 150 years of dedicated service to the nation. On the auspicious occasion of Makar Sankranti, devotees take a holy dip in river Ganga. Cold wave continues to grip northern India. Also, dense fog persists in national capital.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. A quick recap of the headlines. Hamas airs video of Israeli hostages saying will disclose their fate as both sides mark 100 days of conflict. Israel's cabinet set to vote on 2024 wartime budget, higher deficit. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar visits Iran to meet his counterpart to hold discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues. In cricket, India beat Afghanistan by 6 wickets in Indore, take an unassailable 2-0 lead in 3-match series. And in soccer, Real Madrid beat old rivals Barcelona 4-1 to win the Super Cup. It's the first silverware of the season for Real. Indian Army is celebrating the 76th Army Day with a grand parade in India's Uttar Pradesh's capital city of Lucknow. The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, who is the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, extended felicitations to the Indian Army on this occasion. The parade is witnessing 6 marching contingents, military band comprising of 5 regimental brass bands and 3 pipe bands. Artificial intelligence is being used to judge the best marching contingent. Also, the pipe band marching contingent with the brass band. While India is celebrating the harvest season with festivities across the nation, Makar Sankranti is being celebrated in northern India on Monday, marking the transition of sun into the zodiac sign of Capricorn, known as Makar in Sanskrit. This auspicious occasion is synonymous with harvest, kite flying and cultural festivities, carries profound spiritual significance. The shift of the sun symbolizes a journey towards enlightenment and spiritual awakening. Devotees view this transition as an opportune moment to rid themselves of negativity, embracing positivity and divine blessings. Astronomically too, the festival focuses on the movement of the sun from the southernmost hemisphere to the northern hemisphere and the fact that post-Sankranti the days finally get longer and the chilly winters are almost about to end. On the auspicious occasion of Makar Sankranti, devotees take a holy dip in river Ganga. This taking the dip in the Ganges is considered sacred on this day. Makar Sankranti is a festival in which devotees make offerings to Lord Surya. The day marks the first day of the sun's transit, making the end of the month and the winter solstice and the start of longer days. Gorakhnath temple in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh is lit up beautifully on the occasion of Makar Sankranti. The temple also organized a fair on the occasion of Makar Sankranti. Devotees from across India participated in the 15-day long annual fair. India's northeastern state of Assam is also celebrating the end of the harvest season as Magh Bihu. The festival is also known as Bhogali Bihu and Magor Dum Mahi. It is the first time the festival of the year that various people of various communities come together to enjoy the winter crop and pray for prosperity for the rest of the year. Magh Bihu is being celebrated all over the state. The festival is mostly about eating together and enjoying together. During Bihu, people have feasts and light bonfires starting a day before the main celebrations. DD India's correspondent Subina Roy joins us from Dibrugarh in Assam.
Bihu is the essence of Assam. Most of its festivals are associated with the crop cycle. So there are majorly 3 Bihus. The first is the Rongali Bihu, which means the sowing of the crop. So people make merriment, they dance. This is celebrated in the month of April. And then finally comes the harvesting festival when the crops are harvested and people prepare feast. And this is called the Magh Bihu. Also, it is Bhogali Bihu, which means bhog, which means making enjoyment of the harvest that has come out. And then the whole community gathers, make merry, they make food together, and the women in households prepare various kinds of rice cakes with the new rice.
While in the southern part of India, people are celebrating Pongal, a harvest festival that derives its name from the Tamil word meaning spilling over. The festivities begin with boiling the season's first rice with milk and jaggery. Bhogi Pongal marks the beginning of the 4-day-long festivities. Rituals that mark this occasion include bathing, processions, prayers at homes and temples, elaborate feasts, house decoration, and worship of the sun god. Well, DD India's correspondent Anbarasan has more from Chennai.
Significance to the farmers thanking to the nature, where they will be offering their yield to the god, whatever they got from the paddy, jaggery, whatever they are getting. And this festival has been celebrated across Tamil Nadu and also globe, where Tamilians are there with a full joy and enthusiasm. And this festival significance, first day actually today they make in the morning, they wake up in the morning and they make a pongal, which is called made of rice and jaggery and milk in a new part, and the family get together, they meet and they share, and it's next day it's a Matu Pongal, which is thanking to the cattle which they use in the field for the agriculture. And the next day it's a Kanum Pongal. The third day they will be going towards various tourist spots, and they spend time with their family. Right now we are at Chennai, where the people are very much joy and celebrating the Pongal. Now we can ask the people what is their feel about this Pongal, and right now.
Celebrated Thai Pongal on Monday, with celebrations there taking center stage. Let's take a look at the celebrations in Sri Lanka. The Tamil community there celebrating Thai Pongal with fervor and gaiety. Observed at the start of the Tamil month, Thai Pongal is a multi-day harvest festival dedicated to sun god. The traditional dish is prepared from the new harvest of rice boiled with milk with jaggery under sunlight. Devotees also throng the temples across the island since morning to thank for the abundance of previous year's harvest and pray for a successful one in the coming year. In addition, the Assistant High Commission of India at Kandy also celebrated the Pongal with traditional festivities at the Matale on Sunday. Time now to get you special stories from Ayodhya ahead of the grand opening of the Ram Temple on the 22nd of this month. Well, Ayodhya's transformation is a captivating blend of tradition and modernity as it prepares for the grand opening. From themed makeovers to futuristic infrastructure, the city is rewriting its story. Let us take you to the rebirth of Ayodhya, where every brick tells a tale of resilience and cultural richness.
Welcome to the grand transformation of Ayodhya, where ancient history meets modern rejuvenation. As the countdown to the Ram Mandir's grand opening begins, Ayodhya is bustling with excitement and construction. Let's dive into the fascinating change taking place in this sacred city.
In the heart of India, Ayodhya is awakening from its timeless slumber. Over 3,000 structures along the 12-kilometer road to the Ram Mandir are undergoing a spectacular makeover. Houses, shops, temples and offices, every corner resonates with the echoes of change. Behold the future. Ayodhya is not just getting a facelift, it's receiving a modern infrastructure makeover. An airport, a revamped railway station, and an upgraded bus terminal are weaving a web of connectivity for tourists and pilgrims. A greenfield township is emerging, spreading across 1,407 acres, offering a haven for long-term stays and second homes. The makeover follows a meticulous plan with 8 overarching themes guiding the change. From aesthetic Ayodhya to healthy Ayodhya, each theme contributes to a holistic transformation, promising a city that's not just visually appealing but thriving in every aspect. Nagara-style facade. A visual feed surveys Ayodhya's skyline, which is embracing the Nagara style of architecture, reminiscent of the grand temples of North India. Facade control guidelines along the key routes connecting the temple complex with the districts are infusing cultural charm. An investment of Rs 45 to 50 crore is shaping the city's aesthetics. Ayodhya's makeover goes beyond appearance. The city, once devoid of proper drainage, is witnessing a revolutionary change. Key arterial roads in Shahadatganj, Peri Bazaar and more are undergoing a transformation with the laying of sewer lines, no more of old woes. A glimpse into the future. As the countdown to the Ram Mandir's consecration continues, Ayodhya's metamorphosis is capturing the essence of a city that not just reinventing itself but preserving its rich and cultural heritage. Join us in witnessing the rebirth of Ayodhya, a city that's ready to embrace its future while honoring its past. Stay tuned for more updates on Ayodhya's incredible journey. The grand opening awaits, promising a blend of tradition and modernity. This is Ayodhya, where every brick tells a story. With camera person Sanjay Jaina, this is Taposh Bhattacharya signing off from Ayodhya.
Well, let's take a look at some other stories making news. Indian Army conducts firepower demonstration exercise Topchi in Maharashtra. Exercise Topchi is an annual firepower demonstration by the Regiment of Artillery. It showcases indigenously developed surveillance and weapon system. Student officers from defense colleges, Nepal Army and serving officers attend the event. A marathon race for world peace organized in Bodh Gaya in Bihar. Bodh Gaya is the place of enlightenment of Lord Buddha. More than 1,200 runners from across the world took part in the marathon organized under the banner of Bodh Gaya Marathon for Global Peace. Apart from Indian participants, a large number of runners from other countries also took part, which include runners from South Korea, Spain, and America having participated in this particular marathon for global peace. The birds injured on the occasion of flying kites have been rescued by a bird lover organization in the western state of Gujarat and are being treated. Jeev Daya Trust has started a center in the city of Surat where birds are getting the treatment immediately. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. India secure a sensational 3-1 win against New Zealand in the Hockey Olympic qualifier match. Sabalenka continues to dominate 2024 Australian Open. Stay with us for more updates.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Anil Thomas. Cold wave conditions continue to grip northern India, including the national capital New Delhi. The Indian Meteorological Department has forecast that cold to severe cold wave conditions are likely to continue over the plains of northwest India during the next 3 days, with minimum temperatures in the range of 3 to 7 degrees Celsius over most parts of Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. Dense to very dense fog conditions are also likely to continue over North India during the next 4 to 5 days. The Delhi airport has issued advisories for passengers requesting them to contact airlines before travelling. At least 168 flights leaving Delhi were delayed and 56 flights were cancelled on Monday morning due to low visibility. At least 18 trains to Delhi from different parts of the country were running late due to dense fog. Well, DD India's Dibyendu Mondal now joins us with the latest on the weather. Dibyendu, GRAP 3 coming into play. Take us through some of the do's and don'ts that come into play, as the government steps in, trying to make it possible for people to travel and also, keeping that pollution under control, the AQI index still in the severe category.
Well, that's right, Anil. Yesterday afternoon, the Commission for Air Quality Management, that is the CAQM, declared the GRAP 4 stage, in fact, GRAP 3 of the Graded Action Response Plan of implementing in the Delhi NCR region. So let us quickly go through what are the do's and don'ts. The BS3 and BS4 petrol and diesel vehicles respectively are banned from plying in the Delhi NCR region. I was just going through a tweet from the Gurgaon police, traffic police, which have also cautioned vehicles of BS3 in terms of diesel and BS4 in terms of, BS3 in terms of diesel and BS4 in terms of petrol vehicles to not ply in the Delhi NCR region, and their vehicles will be impounded. Not just this, the stone crushers, polluting activities, for example, diesel gensets have been banned in the Delhi NCR region. Even several other polluting activities, which includes the construction activities, for example, that releases heavy dust materials, will also have also been banned in the Delhi NCR region. Having said this, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi have been asked to sprinkle water across the National Capital Region to bring down the pollutant level. Remember, the pollution, the PM 2.5 have reached almost 400, which is in the severe category, after which the CAQM implemented the Graded Action Plan Stage 3 in the Delhi NCR region. The pollution level is likely to remain around the same levels for the next couple of days until a western disturbance hits the northern part of India, and the rainfall, which perhaps could bring down the pollution level, and people could breathe some fresh air. But for now, the pollution level will be in the severe category.
Okay, Dibyendu, a quick word with regards to school children, who have to step out in this biting cold conditions. Is there any order from Delhi as well as the adjoining districts, Gurugram, Ghaziabad, Faridabad, Gautam Budh Nagar, with regards to online schools continuing? Because I believe some places schools are back. The children need to step out and go to school. Though the times The timings have been shifted, but children need to go to school. So is there any, stock taking on that?
Well, that's right, Anil. From today onwards, the Delhi government order, which extended the winter break till the 14th, the school have opened up. What we are hearing in the Delhi NCR region, many of the private schools, especially in Gurgaon, as well as in the Gautam Budh Nagar and Faridabad, and in some parts of Delhi, have resumed online classes for kids that studies up to class 5. Remember, smaller children are more affected due to pollution and due to cold, which is why till grade 5. All schools, in fact, most schools across the Delhi NCR region have been operating online, and students are likely to be back into physical classroom only after, say, about the Republic Day. So many private schools in the Delhi NCR region are operating cautiously with regards to children, but however, elder classes, for example, class 6 to class 12, have to physically go to schools in most parts of Delhi NCR.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you joining us, Divendu Mondal, getting us the latest on weather. Moving to stock markets, the Asian stocks opened on a sluggish note on Monday due to weak worldwide cues. The Indian stock markets touched new record highs. The Sensex reached the 73,000 mark. The Nifty surpassed the 22,000 milestone on the opening session on Monday. At open, the Sensex was up 505.6 points to 73,074. Nifty was up 135.8 points to 22,030.3. The rally was largely led by the tech stocks. Now, while most Asian markets, barring the ones in Japan and Taiwan, declined on Monday morning, while Japan's Nikkei opened on a positive note, gaining 0.5%, China's Shanghai tanked 0.3%, Hong Kong's Hang Seng declined 0.5%, South Korea's Kospi erased 0.02%, the Chinese index fell after the country's central bank left its medium-term policy loan rates unchanged. The Taiwan weighted index, however, rose 0.2% after the ruling DPP, that's the Democratic Progressive Party's Lai Ching-te, won the presidential election on Saturday with more than 40% of the popular vote. Meanwhile, oil prices eased to disruptions of ship movement in the Red Sea zone, but worries about demand this year have limited the rally. Brent eased to 13 cents through $78.16 a barrel, while US crude fell 11 cents to $72 per barrel. Well, time now for all action updates from the world of sports. Starting first up with cricket, where half centuries from Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shivam Dube helped India beat Afghanistan by 6 wickets in the second T20 in Indore. The men have taken a 2-0 lead, a 2-0 assailable lead in the 3-match T20 series against Afghanistan. The Indian women's hockey team outplayed New Zealand 3-1 to secure a sensational win in the second pool match of the F1 Hockey Olympic qualifiers. The Indian team had lost the opening game 1-0 and bounced back strongly in the second one. Defending Australian Open champion Sabalenka made quick work of German qualifier Ella Sede with a 6-0, 6-1 victory on the opening day. Grand Slam's main draw debutant Sedel finally got her on the scoreboard at 5-1, but was no stopping Sabalenka, who sent out a warning to her rivals with a dominant display. Well, Vinicius Junior scored a hat-trick in the first half as Real Madrid were crowned Spanish Super Cup champions after a 4-1 demolition of bitter rivals Barcelona in Saudi Arabia. That's all we have time for in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also visit our website ddindia.co.in. We're going to be back as news breaks here on DD India. I am Anil Thomas. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.